look forward to, with the gay and lesbian community. They're making strides too, but they have to be patient.
I can't agree with you more. I think they do have to be patient.
Well, let's turn to an act that I was hoping that would get voted in, but like I talked about before on my show, was that it was 5 votes away from getting voted in, and that's the DREAM Act. I don't know a whole lot about it. Could you explain that to my audience?
Sure. Well, this is what the DREAM Act does. The DREAM Act is a piece of legislation that's been introduced. It was introduced, I want to say, it was first introduced into Congress under the Bush administration, and it just never passed. But what this bill would do is it will give individuals who are age 15, who they've come to America before the age of 15 or 16. I think it's 16. Come to the age of America at the age of 16 and lived here for 5 years continuously. After fulfilling all those requirements, it would, if they were to serve in the armed services or go to 2 years of university, they would receive a permanent residency in the United States of America. That's if they don't commit any crimes, if they're not felons, all of those sort of things. And then what it also would do is, for those students who are trying to go to college, who fit under the same parameter of being here as a child, being part of the American school system, it would allow them to get in-state tuition rates, which they currently aren't eligible for. And if most folks, and most of your viewers, if you go to university or if you go to any state system, you fill out the state verification form. And the first requirement of the state verification form is, are you a U.S. citizen? So these individuals meet all the other characteristics of the form besides the fact they're not a U.S. citizen. And because they're not a U.S. citizen, they are not eligible to receive in-state tuition. So basically, for example, the University of Florida, I think, and the rates might have changed, but back when I was applying to college, it was $6,000 for in-state, and it was $25,000 for out-of-state. These individuals who lived in the state of Florida, who don't happen to be U.S. citizens, currently have to pay $25,000. Under the new, if the DREAM Act were to pass, it would only pay the in-state tuition rate. I think people are trying to make this bill out as the Democrats trying to give free college to people, or the Democrats trying to, fill our universities with immigrants. But actually, it's quite the contrary. It's just giving people the opportunity to the American dream. Not to mention the Congressional Budget Office projected that if this bill were to be passed, it would decrease the United States deficit by $2.2 billion in money lost to the United States. So and not to mention the projections that this can have on our economy in the long term, educating people, getting them employed, getting them jobs so they're paying into our tax base, etc. This is a groundbreaking piece of legislation. Unfortunately, it did not receive enough votes to pass cloture or to be voted on. But my hope is that they'll pick it back up in the next Congress. I'm not sure if we'll make it out of the House of Representatives, but I think it could definitely come out of the Senate. And it's something that we have to do. We cannot continue to kick immigration reform down the road. Every Congress, they punt the ball to the next Congress and nothing gets done, and the situation just mounting up. And we've got to create a real, comprehensive, bipartisan solution to it.
Let's talk real quick about a senator who I've kind of lost respect for since the 2008 election, and that's John McCain. He's kind of switched from what he used to be, and I think he's gumming up the works of a lot of projects that are going on right now. What's your opinion of John McCain?
Well, you see, John McCain is not the maverick that John McCain used to be. John McCain is basically, I think after his election, he's basically become, this very radical all the way to the right on most issues that he wasn't already to the right to. And if you take a look at, it's hard to look at somebody's family and base it off of them, but both his daughter and his wife has come out in supporting the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And he's just like, I don't agree with it. I think it's horrible. And he's blocked a lot of really good, meaningful legislation simply because I think he feels as though, he needs to be the spokesperson for the right. But that's not the John McCain that we're used to. That's not the John McCain of 2006. That's not the John McCain of 2004. It's definitely not the John McCain of 2000. He's turned into this, far to the left obstructionist. And, he's slowing down a lot of progress. I think he's making it tougher on the president. I'm not sure if he is just mad or bitter that he lost his election, but he's definitely making it harder on the president to do his job because he's blocking meaningful pieces of legislation. And I think on top of that, where you're right is that a lot of people are beginning to lose respect for John McCain being this, statesman as he used to be, and he's now losing that credibility because he's gone all the way to the right, and he's now in, he can be seen in the same light as Jim DeMint and Jeff Sessions, who are already to the right, and that's just not the John McCain that we were used to.
Yeah, well, his friendship with Mitch McConnell during the election kind of brought him down a little bit too, and I think he's changed way too much, and I don't know why he's doing this. I don't foresee a run in 2012. I don't know if it's politically motivated or not. But moving on, we talked about John Boehner being the head of the Republican Party and the Senate Majority Leader. But the Democrats voted in Nancy Pelosi to be the minority leader. Do you think that was a good choice?
Of course, I definitely think it was a good choice. First, let me begin when talking about Nancy Pelosi. I think the reason why Nancy Pelosi is seen in such a negative light is because over this past election, the right has spent $72 million tarnishing her image. So if anybody spends $72 million tarnishing her image, you would have a bad rap too. But let's look at Nancy Pelosi's achievements over the past few years. When Nancy Pelosi was first elected as minority leader, the Democrats had a relatively small caucus. Nancy Pelosi came in, she found moderate Democrats from all across the country, and she put them in Republican districts in 2006, where she had major gains. In 2008, she had major gains. She's basically overseen the most productive Congress in American history since LBJ's New Society. You have to give Speaker Pelosi credit where credit is due. She has done a phenomenal job. And on top of that, she's the first woman speaker. And to be the first woman speaker and hold yourself to such a high bar shows every reason as to why she should be respected. And I respect Nancy Pelosi a whole lot. She's done a lot of great things for the country, and she has been one of the most powerful speakers in recent history.
What is your prediction for this last question here? But what is your prediction for the new Senate and Congress coming? What's your future?
My prediction is I really don't. Like I said, it's really too early to tell. We haven't really seen what the new agenda is going to look like. But I do hope that we see some more bipartisanship in Washington. We see people working together. We see a decrease in the amount of animosity between the two parties. And we really work on helping the American people. It's time in America that we start seeing Made in America again, and we start investing in our greatest natural resources, which is the American people. And that has to happen, and hopefully this Congress will come in and they will work together to get that done.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that they have forgotten about American people, and they have been voting on pretty much political lines, and this tax that could be happening. How are they going to go back to the people and say, "We want your vote" when their taxes were raised? But hopefully things will change. I'm hoping it will. But with the history that D.C. has, I don't know myself, but we will see. You never know. Anything can happen in politics. I thank you for your time. I'm going to leave this with letting you promote anything you want to, any books or any publications you have or anything like that. So you have the last word.
First, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Everybody, please go out and please visit my website, richardafowler.com. Fowler is the last name, or you can just Google it, richardafowler.com. You'll find a lot more stuff about me and a lot more stuff about what I do on a daily basis in Washington, looking out, standing up for our future and our community and our world. And I just, I appreciate you having me on the show, and hopefully I can be back again real soon to talk politics with you.
All right, no problem. I will get in contact with you in after January, and we will see if your predictions are right.
Thank you so much.
All
Hopefully
right,
they are. Bye-bye.
Yes. Goodbye.